President Tinubu seeks protection of electoral processes integrity as a precursor for good democracy. And new level of results expected as Commander-in-Chief changes service chiefs. Hello and welcome to this edition of Executive Recap on the Network Service of the NTA. I am Musbad and Wahab. Thanks a lot for joining us. President Bola Tinubu is expecting the new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Joash Ojo Amokpito, to protect and improve on the integrity of the electoral processes in Nigeria for the development of democracy in the country. President Tinubu threw the challenge as he inaugurated the new chairman of the State House. The ceremony was just before the commencement of the National Economic Council NEC meeting for the month.
And that I will devote myself to the service and well-being of the people of Nigeria. So help me God.
Final confirmation following the approval of the National Council of State and subsequent screening and confirmation by the Nigerian Senate. And it becomes even more tantalizing with the presence of the state governors. Professor Joash Ojo Amokpito takes up new big shoes as a major player and determinant in sustaining the growth of a 25-year-old Nigerian democracy. But then, President Bola Tinubu believes the new helmsman is equal to the task of steering the democratic ship in the right direction.
Your nomination for the important role and the subsequent confirmation by the Senate is a testament to your capacity and the confidence reposed in you by both the executive and the legislative arm of government. The significant achievement marked the beginning of a challenging yet rewarding journey, and I trust that you will approach your responsibilities with the highest level of integrity, dedication, and patriotism.
With various efforts and reforms along the way to protect the return of democracy in Nigeria, President Tinubu says major players with INEC in the lead must remain committed to the principles that underpin democracy in a complex, multifaceted society like Nigeria.
I therefore charge you, Professor Amokpito, as you take on this important assignment to protect the integrity of our elections and electoral process and strengthen the institutional capacity of INEC.
58-year-old professor of law and senior advocate of Nigeria commits himself to free, fair and credible elections under his watch.
I was given a clear charge to ensure credible, fair and free election. Not just that I will ensure that that is done, I'm also going to engage all the stakeholders, because no matter how you set the barometer and the level of success, you still need all the stakeholders to be able to succeed.
From the new chairman's background, Amokpito means an instrument of history. So, the son of a late judge and a headmistress from Ijumu local government area of Kogi State has the next 5 years, all things being equal, to make history in the political landscape of the country. And that begins with the Anambra governorship election next month. Meanwhile, the National Economic Council NEC has approved President Bola Tinubu's proposal for the total overhaul of the nation's police training institutions. The Council also deliberated on the Renewed Hope World Development Program, Sustainable Agricultural Platform model, among other key issues of national interest. Now let's hear from State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila.
This is the 153rd meeting of the National Economic Council, attended by President Bola Tinubu and presided over by Vice President Kashim Shettima, raising concern on the state of the nation's security training institutions. Enugu State Governor Peter Umba is to chair the committee with governors of Kaduna, Ogun, Taraba, Akwa Ibom, Zamfara, and Nasarawa states as members, while former Inspector General for Police Usman Alkali Baba will serve as secretary with 1 month to report back to the council.
Mr. President raised serious concern about the condition generally of all the training institutions of the Nigerian police across the country. And of course, all the governors at the meeting agree that it is high time for all of us to collaborate with the federal government to address this very crisis. The NEC also looked at other sister agencies, and the committee was also saddled with responsibility to look at other sister agencies and look at their own training institutions and come up with a report on how we can be able to revamp, renovate them, and also equip them where necessary.
The council also received a memo of the $1 trillion economy by 2030 renewed Hope World Development Program to strengthen macroeconomic reforms and take measures on the renewed Hope infrastructure funds.
To take development to the 8,809 wards of the country, which entails a mapping of the economic activities and identification of opportunities unique to each ward, as well as registering at least 1,000 economically active persons in each ward.
The ad hoc committee on crude oil theft and management also presented a report updating the council on the successes recorded, expanding the committee's work.
NEC received our report with satisfaction, and they expanded our terms of reference to now also taking interest in solid minerals, because our solid minerals here are being mined and stolen and not adding to national revenue.
NEC receives a report on sustainable agricultural platform model of Katsina State and urge other subnationals to follow suit and deploy technology to address challenges in agriculture and food security.
Also directed the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security to establish pilot schemes on agriculture where to capture data as well as control centers in 6 geopolitical zones by 2026.
Epidemiological data shows a continuous progress with the circulating variant of the polio virus.
The council also received update from the ad hoc committee on polio eradication and also the approval of the upcoming Zuma International Festival and other approvals of art, culture and tourism and creative economy, as well as update on the Federation account.
Part of the decisions coming out of a meeting was the setting up of a committee to look at the police training institutions across the country. One of the members of that committee is Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State. We had an interaction with him. Let's take a listen. Excellency, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, your committee has a very special assignment at hand given by the NEC. We'd like to know what is your committee setting out to achieve?
Well, it was a very special NEC where Mr. President had to be present himself, and he had to read out the names of the members of the committee, and he to read out exactly what the committee is expected to do. What Mr. President has done was to show that he believes in human capital development, He believes in training. He believes in competencies and expertise of our security agencies. And that is the reason why he gave the assignment that the 6 governors, being led by the governor of Enugu State, should go around the country and identify the lapses and the requirements and whatever is needed to bring up all the training institutions for the training of our own police officers, to a certain standard. So for us in Nasarawa State, as you are aware, we believe in training and human capital to the extent that we in fact establish an agency by law. So we have a Nasarawa State Human Capital Development Agency. So you can imagine how excited I was to be invited to be a member of that committee and to also do be part of this training, of our own police officers in the country.
Right. This seems to focus only on the police, Nigerian police force, and you have just 1 month to do that. What do you think your terms of reference will include as you go about this?
Well, I think the first one is to be able to identify the institutions. For us, for instance, the police college in Jos, the Mobile Police Training Institute in Lafia, the ones in Maiduguri, the ones in Enugu. So it is not going to take us anything more than the 1 month for this committee to be able to go around, even if we are going to in fact split ourselves into, that's why you have 1 governor from each one of the geographical zones. So for that reason, we can even have the committees into 3 so that they can go to various geographical regions to be able to do that, and then to come back and compare notes, at the end of the day to submit. So it is just to identify what is required from this institution. A lot of them are dilapidated. If you look at the one in Ikeja, for instance, you can see the standard of that. Is it up to the standard of what a training institution, that will train the kind of officers that we are looking for will be? So I think the first thing is for us to know what does it take to be, a standard quality training institute, and then now to look at what we have now, and now to recommend what it will take, to do that. I think it's a very simple, straightforward, and I'm happy that the secretary of the committee is actually the immediate past IG, so he's somebody also who knows where those institutions are, because in fact he was not just an IG, but he went through the rank. He was Commissioner of Police, he was AIG, he was DIG, and the rest of that. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity.
Right, Your Excellency. This issue has been on ground for years, the condition of the Nigerian police force. And personally, now I'm asking you not as a member of the committee, what do you like to see, the immediate reform you like to see in the force?
I think there is a total reorientation of the thinking of the police officer. A lot of people just look at the welfare of the police officer, how much money you have to, there is no money that is enough, and there is no money that is too small. So depending on the orientation of the officer, it doesn't matter if you pay a police officer ₦1 million a month. Another person may say, why not 2 million? If you pay 500,000, somebody will say, why not 1 million? So I don't think the money is just the issue.
Well, going by what is obtainable across the world, do you think that officers and men are well remunerated?
No, I don't think so. I think they should be better enumerated. They should be better paid, as far as I'm concerned. But more than just payment, it is the welfare around it. When a police officer dies in the line of duty, what do you do to the family? So those who are actually living would like to see what has happened to the other person. They will feel more comfortable, more energized to do that. So that's why I say it is not just about the money that they take right now. It is about the kind of training that they are given, the orientation, the thinking of the officers. So that's the reason why it is at the training institute that all this will be provided, to the people. So that's the excitement about the training institute.
Interesting. Now, Your Excellency, the president seems to have focused paid very crucial attention to Nigerian security in the outgone week, and with the big one being the changes to the service chiefs. What do you make of this situation, the decision taken by the president?
Yesterday I was asked the same question actually by another television station. So for me, after being in this country for this long, and after attaining the position that I am today, for the past 6.5 years I've been a governor, I see these changes as just normal routine exercises. You know, for us in the private sector, we usually don't leave any particular person for too long in one position. You know, you rotate people around. And the one that I made reference to yesterday is the of lifting, you know, or the movement of the former chief of army staff to now be the CDS. You know, just about a little over a month ago, he was with me in Lafayette. He is the kind of hands-on general. You know, he left actually to come in only, you know, for the movement or the movement of another institute, training institute, you know, from Yobe State to Nasarawa State. So he wanted to come himself, you know, to be part of that, to see what is happening and to follow it up. And he didn't just come to Lafayette, he went all the way to Doma, Special Forces headquarters, in order for him to do that. You know, and if you look at most of the other officers who have been there, the chief of air staff, you know, the chief of naval staff, and the rest of that, they are all people also who are hands-on. So I think, for me, I didn't see anything wrong with it, and I don't see anything wrong with the other officers. You know, General Musa has done well. You know, he did his best. We always commended him. He has attended our meetings of the Nigerian Governors Forum twice. We interacted. He shared with us. I attended another meeting, you know, of the Northern Institutes with him, you know, twice. And so I think all of them seem to be people who have contributed, and it's time to move on. You know, you cannot continue to keep certain people in one position for too long. Sure. That's the way I see it.
All right, sure. Like you've just alluded to, the General Musa-led service chiefs have done their own bits on fighting insecurity in the country, but Nigerians are still expecting more results to ensure the security of lives and properties of Nigerians. So what do you think this new set of service chiefs should focus on immediately as they assume office?
Security of the country. Locally for them, you know, most of them are people who are in the system. We are not bringing people from outside. You know, it's people in the system. And usually every time you bring a new leader, even if the leader was number 2, one of the things he wants to do is actually to do a little bit of tweaking into the system, to do a little bit of changes. And Nigerian security situation today need a few changes, need a few amendments. You know, you want to move this here, you want to move that here, you want to do this, you want to do things a little bit different from the way that they used to be done. And I think that's exactly what is going to be expected. So I expect to see better security of Nigeria. I expect to see, and they will see the handwriting on the wall clearly that Mr. President wants to see better security for Nigerians.
Sure, that's what Nigerians expected. Now, away from security, Excellency, the electoral umpire in the country has a new helmsman in the person of Professor Ujo Amukito. President spoke glowingly of this man during the inauguration. What's your own take on that?
Well, coincidentally, you know, the man happens to be from the North Central. You know, the North Central region, you know, is one of the few places that had not had this kind of opportunity. And you are talking of somebody from the North Central, he's a good definition of one. You know, he's from Kogi State, but he spent most of his life in Plateau, you know, State. You know, he went to the University of Jos, he taught there, and he rose to the position of the DIG the position of the Deputy Vice Chancellor, DVC here in Jos. So, and he's somebody who has never been known to participate in politics, you know, and that's exactly what they are looking forward to. Somebody who has never been known actually to incline himself with any government. So that is another requirement that is there. So you expect somebody like that, you know, who is very courageous, and locally for him, he has a team that is on ground also, very familiar with what is happening there. You know, he's just taken over from the acting, who happens to understand all the legal aspect of INEC, you know, who is also going to guide him in those other areas. He's an SA and also in his own part, you know, and things like that. So I think we have the right person, and for him just to take exactly the message from Mr. President. Mr. President said a litmus test is going to be the election in Anambra. So go ahead. And so Nigerians have the opportunity now, you know, to be able to rate him. So I'm sure he is on his toes right now, trying to ensure that he delivers very, very credible election in Anambra State.
So that's your immediate agenda you're setting for him?
That's what Nigeria is setting for him, really, not me.
Your Excellency, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State on various outcomes of the NEC meeting for the month of October. Now we move on as Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has inaugurated 10 Renewed Hope Initiative and National Information Technology Development Agency digital learning centers across 10 states of the Federation. At a virtual inauguration ceremony held in her office, she noted with optimism that sustainable advancement of digital literacy is driving inclusive growth in the country. We hear this from Adeniyi Taiwo.
To the glory of God, I hereby officially commission and hand over 10 NIDA RHL digital learning centers in Umuahia, Abia State.
In one fell swoop, 10 digital learning centers come on stream in Abia, Delta, Edo, Kano, Katsina, Lagos, Nasarawa, Ondo, Yobe, and Zamfara states, expanding the frontiers of youth empowerment and digital inclusion in the country. The virtual inauguration of the centers by Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu marks another giant stride in the effort of Renewed Hope Initiative in partnership with the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, to deepen the adoption and utilization of digital tools by youths across the country.
Today's commissioning presents another opportunity under the mandate of the Federal Ministry of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy to further expand digital access across the country. By providing communities with the resources required to develop ICT skills, thereby empowering our people to participate meaningfully in the digital economy, to accelerate economic diversification through industrialization and digitalization. I urge the members of the various beneficiary communities, especially our youth, to make good use of these facilities to enhance learning, creativity, and entrepreneurship, thereby improving livelihood and contributing to national development.
Apart from the 296 centers already established under this administration, 15 in collaboration with RHI, NITDA is also working to build additional 148 digital infrastructure in other parts of the country and a total of 592 centers by 2027.
This will empower our citizens all over the country to have access to digital infrastructure and services. It signifies an unlocking potential, as well as putting our nation on a right track to drive inclusivity for our citizens.
Wives of state governors of benefiting states were in attendance at their respective locations for the virtual inauguration.
And that has been Executive Recap for the week on the network service of the NTA. Thanks a lot for being part of it. Join us again next week for another edition of the program as we wait and see what the new week brings for the President and its subordinates. God bless you and yours. God bless Nigeria.
Confidence is there. Hope is back for Nigeria.